You are listening to WOOP-LP, Cleveland, Tennessee. WOOP FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
Where'd the old town go? They moved it all north of here in a shopping mall.
Good morning and welcome to Old Town Cleveland here on WOOP FM 99.9, or you can go to the internet at www.woopfm.com. You can call us here at 614-5553, and my lovely co-host, it's a privilege to say so, not in my contract as I used to say. It is a privilege to say so. Good morning, Debbie Moore. Tell us what's happening.
Good morning, Ron. Today is March the 15th. 2014, and we're going to have a really fun show today. We have Lisa Marie Presley with us. Well, we have Lisa Marie Presley McClung with us, and she is from the Lost Sea, and she has some great information for us about the Lost Sea and some funny things that's happened there, and we want you guys to call in with your memories of going to the Lost Sea up in Sweetwater. Correct? Sweetwater, just up the road a little bit. We're so glad to have you here with us today. And before we get going too far, I want to tell Larry Ledford I did not do my homework. I did not scan the great things he brought me last week. So don't come pick them up today. Right. Pick them up next week.
And also, we want to remind everybody on April 17th at the Museum Center at 5 Point, the premiere of It's a Dirt Track Life, our documentary about dirt track racing from Gatlinburg to Dawsonville will premiere there.
We hope everybody will come out 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock
on a Thursday
17th,
night.
We have some commercials to remind you coming on, and I'm almost positive probably on this show every Saturday morning we may mention it again. And and if you haven't seen our music video that goes along with it, go to YouTube and just type in It's a Dirt Track Life, and you'll see the music video. It's a 3-minute, a little over 3-minute music video. It sort of gives you the idea of what's going to be in the documentary, and plus a lot more. And Lisa,
we learned to be careful proofreading.
Yes. Do you go by Lisa Marie Presley or McClung? Which one do you go by?
I actually go by Lisa McClung.
Okay.
Lisa McClung. But now Lisa's just here. Okay, well, great. So tell us how long you've been at the Lost Sea.
I have been there a long time. I'm maybe as old as the cave.
Oh, no.
more than 25 years.
Wow, you've been lost a long time.
I've been lost a long time.
How did you end up working there?
Well, I started there when I was still back in school, and a friend of mine worked there. And she worked there during the summers, so she got me a job there, and I continued in school. And when I got out of school, I stayed there. Loved it. Mm-hmm. And it's more than a job, as you can imagine, being there for more than 25 years. It's become my second home. Sometimes I say it's my first home.
Does your car automatically go there when you leave?
It does. It does. When I was coming here today, it almost drove right up the driveway.
So you were telling us that before we got started here, I said, did anything funny ever happens or any calls? And some of the questions people ask you about the Lost Sea, I just thought was hilarious. So give us a few of those.
They are really funny. I will tell you some of the calls, for instance, are, what days are you open? We are open every day but Christmas Day. And this will be in July. Excuse me. And people will say, are you open Saturday? So I said, okay, Saturday's July the 4th. So yes, we're open. We had a lady call and ask where we were located, and when I told her, she said, well, the last time that I came there, I thought you were located next door to Ruby Falls, so why did you move? Why did you move that far up the road? So
I'm impressed.
We hear some funny things.
That you can move a cave in a lake.
We can move a cave 70 miles, yes.
That's something else.
Funny stories.
Mm-hmm. Always.
you have people ask, where do they launch their boats?
Yes, we've had people ask if they can bring their boats to the Lost Sea and put them in there. How do they do that? We have had people ask if they can go skiing on the Lost Sea, if they can fish. And one time I told a gentleman when he called that we only allowed fishing one day a year, and that was on February the 31st. So he became angry when he called back and said, well, I want to make reservations for that day. And I said, well, it was a joke. I said, there is no February 31st. So
okay, that's always for someone who may be new to this area. Give them a brief overview of what the Lost Sea is.
Okay. Well, the Lost Sea is...
We are all having allergy problems here because they have been sanding the walls and putting in drywall all week. So
it looks great.
It looks fabulous.
It looks great.
But it makes it hard to talk.
If you like green.
Yes. Well, the Lost Sea is America's largest underground lake. And it covers, the lake itself covers about 4.5 acres. And what we have is a guided walking tour through the caverns. The tour takes about an hour and 20 minutes altogether, and the boat ride and everything is a part of that. And I think one thing that really stands out about the Lost Sea that people don't really think about is how large the caverns are. Most of the rooms there you could put a 2-story building in. So when people call and say that they're claustrophobic and they don't know about coming to the Lost Sea, it's huge. So unless you just don't want to be underground, there shouldn't be a problem there. And it's really amazing that we have something so wonderful in this area. It is truly a treasure.
I would imagine that there's more places just like that, but we just don't know it.
Yes, I know. That always makes me think, what are we walking on that we don't even know about? Because you think about the Lost Sea was there for many, many years, and there's a lot of history behind it, and there's a lot of things that the cave was used for even before it was open commercially. It was open commercially in June of 1965, so next year is actually the 50th anniversary of the grand opening. So we're going to have a really special year, having events and things planned and having some special things for people to come out and do.
How deep is the lake?
The deepest point of the lake is about 70 feet deep.
Wow.
It starts out very shallow around the boat dock, around 10 to 15 feet deep. And then as you get out into the lake, onto the lake itself, there's about an area where it's about 30 to 35 feet deep. And then the deepest part is the back of the lake, and that is about 70 feet deep.
Okay, the fish. That's always something people want to talk about. Tell us about your fish that live there.
We have rainbow trout stocked in the Lost Sea. Right after the cave was opened commercially in June of 1965, an experiment was done. Fish were put into the lake, for one thing, to see if there was an outlet to the lake, or how much of an outlet to see where the fish came out. And none of the fish were tagged, and none of the fish came out anywhere in the ponds or streams locally. But the thing is, the people that were on tours loved the fish. They loved them. They would come right up to the sides of the boat. We even had a story where one of the fish was so excited when at feeding time it landed in the boat, and a lady beat it to death with her purse. So anyway, so the fish are very active when we feed them, and everyone loved them so much we just kept stocking them.
I used to hear that the fish were blind. Is that
no,
a true story?
That is not true. The fish are not blind. They only lose a very small portion of their eyesight. We leave the lights on for them at least 12 hours every day, so they only lose a very small portion of their eyesight and a small bit of their coloring. So when we bring them out, when they die and we bring them out, they may be a little paler than a rainbow trout normally would be.
So where does the water go?
Well, the water is fed, the lake is actually fed from several underground springs. And the water just seeps out slowly. It doesn't have an outlet enough to keep the water going out at the same rate that it sometimes comes in. So when we have a large amount of water coming in from rain, flooding, even snow, we have to keep it pumped to a certain level. And pumping is one thing we can do, but when the water level drops because of drought, there's not anything we can do. And in 2007, December of 2007, the lake level dropped down almost 40 feet.
Yeah, that was unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
It didn't rain for forever.
Right, exactly.
And so that's interesting that it's 70 feet deep, and it's hard to imagine that you're going underground and then you find a lake.
Yes.
We've talked to the people at Copper Hill that done the mining up there, and they talk about that there are rooms big enough to fly helicopters in down there, and so I wouldn't want to be in it, but. But the so now when the water went down, I've heard you speak before, and you said that they were able to go in and find other lakes or other caverns that you can't find when the water's up. Is that true?
Well, that didn't happen in 2007. Back in the early days of the opening of the Lost Sea, which actually prior to the opening, divers went in to the lake room. And on the left side of the wall, if you've ever been there before, as soon as you start out on the boat ride, they will show you that there is, on the left side of the wall, under the water, there was another series of rooms discovered. And when divers went in, they found a series of rooms that they believed to be twice the size of the lake room, which would be maybe another 9 acres of water.
Wow.
That's
a lot of water.
That's a lot of
water. There's
water.
no everyday access to that.
No.
So there's no chance that'll ever open up.
I don't think so, because the last time that we had divers in, which has probably been about 15 years ago, they told us that diving in the lake was like diving in chocolate milk, because the bottom of the lake is silt. It's a clay bottom, so when they were in the lake, it was so brown and murky they almost couldn't see where they were going at all. So it would be very dangerous. Also, when the divers went in and discovered those other rooms, they said that some of the rooms they went into, pieces of the ceiling started to fall in on them while they were there. So, and to get to those rooms, the water level as it is now would have to be even below that 40 feet that it dropped in 2007. So I don't know if we will ever get into those rooms easily.
How did you handle the drought of 2007?
Well, it was very challenging. As the water level started to drop, the boat dock that we have now is a floating dock. So as the water started to drop, and I said it's only 10 or 15 feet deep around the boat dock, we started moving the boat dock out a little more and more into the lake. We had extensions built, floating extensions that we used as portable boat docks, and we kept moving it farther and farther into the lake. And finally, in December of 2007, whenever the boats would go out, we were starting to have a problem with the water and mud, churning mud when the boats, when we took a group of people out. So it was churning mud. It was causing the fish to have a lot of distress. So around December the 12th, we closed the boat rides, and we stopped those temporarily for about a month. And we opened another section of the cave that's normally only opened on our Wild Cave tour, and we allowed people to go into that section. They could still go down to the lake and look at it, but we just didn't have the boat rides for about maybe 4 or 5 weeks, and it was not long after that we were able to get it back open.
Would you say it went from 4 acres to a 2 acre lake,
yes.
or a 1 acre
yes.
lake or something like that?
Yes.
Wow.
Now, what surprised me as being a former 3rd grade teacher, and I used to bring kids up there. First of all, when you get down in the cave, now there's some moisture in some places, but there's some places that it's very, very dry.
Very dry. The cave is actually only about 35% of the cave is living and forming, and that is very dry compared to some caves. Mm-hmm. And that's why we don't have a lot of formations. Mm-hmm. You may have noticed that in our cave, we have some very pretty formations, but there's very few of them, and that is because there is no water coming through the top of the cave and seeping down, and that's what is needed to make those formations.
So you see very few stalagmites and stalactites.
You do see very few, yes.
Okay, so
but now there are, when I was on the boat ride with my 3rd graders, I think there's some what they call cave bacon and stuff over the lake.
Yes.
There's some of the little floral looking, they look like flowers, but they're some kind of
anthodites. Yes.
Thank you. And that's where the living things are that to show the children. It's not like other caves where you just see it all over the place.
So nothing growing. Let me ask you the general location of the cave. Craighaven Cave, is that?
Craighead Caverns.
Craighead
is the cave, the name of the cave. That's what many people in our area still call it today.
Yeah. So it's not always been the Lost Sea. That's a commercialized name, and it does a very good job.
How did they come up with the Lost Sea?
Well, when the cave was opened commercially in 1965, Ruby Falls was quite a prominent attraction, and so was Rock City. So the gentlemen that were working together to come up with had to have the opening and everything, thought, what could we name this cave? And they come up with a couple of things, and they wanted to keep the lettering not too many more letters than Ruby Falls or Rock City had, as for billboard purposes. Mm-hmm. So one of the gentlemen came up with the name, how about Lost Sea? So it just stuck.
Did they plan a boat ride right off the bat, or is that something coming later?
No, the boat ride was actually planned right from the very beginning. Now, in 1927, the caverns was open for a short time as Craighead Caverns. At that time, the lake, people knew there was water in the cave, but they had no idea how much water, what size the lake was. So it was only open for about 4 years. It closed in 1931 because of the Depression. But 1927 was the first time that electricity was installed in the cave. So you can imagine when many homes in the area didn't have electricity, that was quite a big deal.
So now, does it go into this? Is the formation above? Are you under a mountain, or
you are?
What's the land like above it?
It is sort of mountainous. When you go into the cave and actually start into the cave, before you get to the lake, you will go downhill about 140 feet. But there are times when you are in the cave where you have the tip top of the mountain above you, and at times there is you have a 500-foot bit of rock and dirt above you at some points in the cave.
Mm-hmm. So there must be very solid rock then. Have geologists told you what's above your head?
Actually, the rock is limestone, which is a very porous type of rock, and that's one thing that has made the caverns form the way they have. If you can imagine this, if you've ever been there, at one time that entire cave was completely flooded with water. So what happened is the water slowly eroded the rock away, being a limestone rock.
Those walls will be just as smooth as they can be in some places.
Where the water has
so
very interesting.
When you're in the cave, the deepest you at any time, or how deep?
Well, you're 140 feet. If you're talking going straight up and down from where you buy your ticket and start in, 140 feet.
But you may be 600 feet under.
Yes, because if you have the tip top of the mountain above you at any point, at some points in the cave, you could have 500 feet of rock and dirt above you.
Well, the limestone looks like it's porous. Why would more water get down in, seep through the mountain? I mean, is it just used up before it gets there?
Why would it not?
Yeah.
Yes, there's just not that many water sources around coming in from the top.
So just the rainwater is going to go through the topsoil, which in our area we don't have tons of.
Well, there's probably a layer of rock there too.
And also the water, like I said, the water from the lake is fed from underground springs. That's where that water comes in.
What kind of water is it? I mean, is it drinkable water?
It is. It is spring water. It's about 99% pure, and we actually pump it up into the water fountain in the gift shop.
Mm-hmm. It's cold and clear.
Very pure.
It's not a mineral water of any type.
No, not there's some minerals.
Sure.
And but no, it is very pure and very cold, 56 degrees. So if you put your hands in the water when you're on the boat ride, the longer you keep them there, the colder they will get.
Well, my observation is it's real easy to walk down
yes.
into the cavern.
I had that observation too. Going down was easy.
Well, and coming up's not bad because they do stop and they have benches and they let you sit down. And I've been with groups that, I've been with children that, you couldn't keep up with, but everyone would sit down on the benches and wait for the party.
Well, I need to go back. Last time I went there, I was a little heavier than I am now, or a whole lot heavier than I am now, and
it seemed like
I could probably get back up quicker this time.
There you go. I always say that I'm going to go down there 2 or 3 times a day and walk the tour for exercise, but seems like I never make it.
There's somebody on a golf cart, and if I could have caught him, I would have whipped him and took it away from him or something. I could ride that. Folks, you're listening to Old Town Cleveland here on Whoop FM 99.9. We got Lisa Marie Presley McClung, and she's here from the Lost Sea, and we're going to open up the phones. You can call us here at 614-5553 if you got a question about the Lost Sea, or if you just want to talk to us. There's somebody calls right off the bat.
One of our friends.
Good morning. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hey, Ronnie, baby. How you doing?
Hey, Bullet. Thanks for cleaning up that mess in my yard.
Well, I'm not through with it yet. Me and my brother, he's hurt his back, so we got most of it done, but I'm going to still do some more down there.
We had lots of limbs that decided to hit the ground during that last snowstorm.
I can imagine.
I just wanted to, I first found out about the Lost Sea when I used to work for a car dealer, and I used to go through Sweetwater to get to Lenore City. I think it was 70 when I used to go up through there. And is it true that they said them are glass-bottom boats?
The boats have a large piece of glass in the center of them so that you can see the fish and everything. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, and I've always been fond of that name, Sweetwater. Do you know how they got the name Sweetwater?
I don't know exactly. We need to research that a little more. I've heard 2 or 3 different stories about that. That the water running through there is sweet, and it was named Sweetwater because of that. And there's 2 or 3 different stories, so I'm not sure exactly which one would be.
Well, the source of
limestone is a
right,
very
exactly.
good filter.
Yes.
the source of useless information here. I've always thought that it was an indication that the water was limestone water and it was good to drink. And so, therefore, they named the place
Do you think
Sweetwater.
Cherokees may have named it earlier in the day? Being
I don't
good
know if
water
it was
was?
ever named anything else. A lot
I
of
don't
towns
know.
have.
Yeah, I don't know either. I've always known it as Sweetwater.
You stumped us.
Well, it's a nice little town, and I'm on. I went through it a long time ago, but I'm thinking about taking my brother up there, and when it gets a little warmer, we're gonna go through it again.
Great.
It is something for everybody needs to go through.
Yeah, don't
great.
stick in your fishing rod now.
Fishing only on February 31st.
That's right. Thanks, Bullet.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I was going to tell you online here, somebody wanted to know if that was the Fountain of Youth water fountain. And I told her,
Ooh.
well, I think I'll go get me a drink.
I wish, yes.
I need some of that.
So something, too, that I think amazed me. The last time I went, I hadn't been probably in 8 or 10 years or something. And you guys have put in a lot more little gift shops and stuff.
Outside.
That are outside the cave. So
Yes.
you could just go up if you wanted to take a picnic lunch and just go through the little shops, or there's a nice little restaurant there that sells barbecues and hamburgers and hot dogs, those kinds of foods.
Yes. We have our village open. It usually gets open in April. We have a couple of shops now that are open on the weekends, and our glass blower is there, and we have an awesome glass blower. It's a family. There's a son and his father that does glass blowing, and I think one of their sisters does glass blowing, but they're there every day during the season, starting in April, usually through October. And we have one of the largest blown glass selections in the South. It is unbelievable.
Wow.
People come from every state to see the glass and to buy glass from them. And they're just amazing, and they can do specialty items for you. And we have a sweet shop where we are this summer going to be selling 16 flavors of Bluebell ice cream. And we sell fudge and candy.
Now, when is it open?
That will be open in just a few weeks.
Few weeks. Okay. Bluebell, folks.
And then we have a couple of little specialty gift shops. So, yes, it is a great place to come, and even just if you're looking for an unusual gift for someone, we have our gift shops with some local things in them. So it's a great place. And we have a gem mine where you can pan for gemstones. So that's something
And
fairly
you have
new.
a little cafeteria restaurant
We
there?
do. We
And,
do. It's
what
called
kind
the
of food you-
Cavern Kitchen. Hamburgers, hot dogs, chicken sandwiches, things like that. Very affordable. And
It is.
good place to just, jump off the interstate and get a bite to eat, do the tour.
Yeah, and you have a walking trail?
We do. We have a nature trail with many trees listed. We have a map available for you to get at the front desk where you purchase your tickets, or in any of the gift shops that will give you a list of the trees that we have listed on the nature trail.
So if you just wanted to go up one day and shop and eat, snack would be just a good place to go up and ride on a Sunday afternoon.
Absolutely,
And
yes.
If you want to, if you don't think you want to go into the cave, so you can go up there,
Right.
And you keep adding things and making it bigger. So, didn't someone ask you, said, why didn't you move it closer to the interstate?
Yes. And it's only 7 miles from the interstate. I don't know if you've been to a lot of other caves, but some caves are really off of the highway.
Well, now, Ron will not typically go into a cave because he's 6'4", and he doesn't like the enclosed place. Now,
Ruby Falls is painful.
yeah, because
Because when I walk through Ruby Falls, every other rock hits me in the head. So
Okay.
I walk with my head sideways all the way through there
Yes.
and still get
But
hit.
now in Lost
But in Lost
Sea,
Sea, you don't
no.
get hit. Matter of fact, if you're on the internet right now, you'll see a big bright yellow tunnel. That's the new tunnel you put in, or I don't know how new it is
Well,
now.
that tunnel was put in the latter part of 1968. When the cave first opened in June of 1965, they decided to blast that area to make getting into the cave easier. Excuse me. And so that tunnel was put in the latter part of 1968. So if you had come to the Lost Sea between 1965 and 68, it would look like you were walking down a large mine shaft until that tunnel got put in. And the bright yellow color is to help your eyes adjust to the cave light after being in the outside light, especially sunlight.
And you can't get lost in the yellow tunnel.
Can't get lost there, I don't think. No.
it's just it just kind of revs you up that you're going to, come into something special there. Now, this cave has a long, varied history.
It does.
And
Unbelievable history.
An unbelievable history. And let's talk a little bit about its history during the Civil War.
Well, we believe that the Confederate soldiers were some of the first people to have used the cave. There is a date in the cave of 1863, and the date has been carbon-14 tested, and it does prove to be authentic, and we believe it was put there by the carbon of a Confederate soldier's torch. And you will see this on the tour. And that date is one reason that in 2009 we were designated as a Civil War trail marker. Oh. So we're very proud of that designation. And the Confederate soldiers, if you think about it, the cave was a good place to come into to get the dirt, to mine for the gunpowder. They were out of the way. They could hide easily in there.
There's access to water.
Right, access to water. We believe that the Cherokee Indians also used the cave in the early 20s because of all the Indian artifacts that were found in the cave. There were some teenage boys exploring in the cave in the early 20s, and they discovered arrowheads, some jewelry, pottery, in a large room in the cave that we now call the council room. It's a large round room that you see in the very beginning of the tour. It's called the council room. We think they may have even held council meetings there.
Well, it would make great sense because no matter what the weather was outside,
yes,
the weather inside would have been, stable.
Cool in the summer and warm in the winter, and they would have been out of the elements, so it would have been a great place.
Now, most caves are not real young. What kind of time frame has this? How old is the cave? I mean, has scientists told you that?
No, we never give it a definite age. The only thing that we can use to age or date the cave is by some of the formations that are there. So when you think that it could take up to 75 years or 100 years to form an inch of a formation, and we have some columns where the stalactites have grown into the stalagmites, and they're maybe 12 or 15 feet tall. So we know that it has been there a long time. We don't really put a definite age on it.
What kind of bones and things have you found there? I mean, animal-wise.
Well, in the early 40s, the bones of a large prehistoric jaguar were found in the cave. And he was found in a pit not too far from the original entrance to the cave. And there were claw marks along the sides of the pit where he had tried to get out. So I think probably he wandered into the cave looking for food and became lost in the darkness, because I don't know if you've ever been there before when we've turned the lights off, but it is total darkness.
Yes. That's dark.
That is very dark. So the bones were sent to the American Museum of Natural History and were on display there for many years. And they have been taken off of display. So we're trying to get the bones back so that we can have them at Lost Sea to put them on display. We have some of the bones in our lobby. We have a large case with some of the bones and a plaster cast of the cat's head and his paw print so that you could get an idea of just how big he was.
I can't imagine why they would not send those back.
I don't know. I've heard that if you can imagine the area of the archives where they keep all of that they said it's as huge as a football field, and we're working on it. We hope to get them back soon.
It's in a box somewhere.
It's somewhere.
That's the problem.
Labeled cat bones from the Lost Sea. Yes.
So, was there any signs of other animals? I mean, would bears have used it for hibernation?
I'm sure they could have. And
I'm sure they would have.
Even now, every now and then, we actually get a dog or a cat that will stray through the original entrance if it's left open after we've had a group there spending the night or something.
So now the original opening is where in relation to this yellow tunnel?
Well, the yellow tunnel there is at the entrance building. So if you can imagine going past that up to the top of our gravel driveway, which is probably a half of a mile, and then hiking up the woods about another quarter of a mile, then you would see a small opening that we have enlarged and put a door over. And that is where we do the tours, our specialty tours, our wild cave tours that we do overnight. And they actually go into that entrance. Now, the original entrance to the cave was just above that. It was a small hole above that. So this opening has been enlarged. A door has been added to it, steps coming in and everything.
When you say a small hole, how small?
Probably just large enough for someone to wiggle through to get into the opening.
Yeah, wiggle through is the part that would bother me.
Me too.
If I could just maybe slide through it real quick, one thing, but wiggling would not be. Caving is just not one of those things that. But now the overnight tour. Now, is this just for groups, or can individuals sign up for this, or how do you do that?
Well, for the Wild Cave Tour, you have to have a minimum of 12 people or pay for 12 people. And that's to spend the night. And we have all kinds of groups. I think tonight we have maybe 4 different Boy Scout groups that will be coming and spending the night with us.
Wild time in the old
Wild
cave.
time in the old cave. We can actually sleep up to about 300 inside the cave. And Saturday nights in January, February, and March, we are almost always booked solid for that tour, because a lot of Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts plan overnight trips, and they don't have to worry about weather at the Lost Sea because it's all underground. So it makes a great overnight getaway for them.
So now, what all do they do? I mean, besides going and sleep, do they have meals or?
We do offer a dinner meal before they go into the cave, and a breakfast meal the next morning after they come out of the cave. But they usually arrive around 5 p.m. in the evening and have their dinner meal if they're going to have dinner with us. And then we assign a tour guide for them, or 2 tour guides, or however many for the size of group that they have. And then they start into that original entrance, and they take all of their gear, their sleeping bags and everything
now,
down.
The one with the door, or one where you went?
The one with the door.
Okay.
And they go in and they walk down about 144 very steep and narrow steps. They come out at the bottom of those at their campsite, drop their gear at their campsite, and take up a flashlight and start a fantastic tour. They get to do the boat ride and everything, but as well as that, they get to go through areas that you probably can't even imagine. You probably wouldn't like it if you're...
So are the electric lights on?
Do I have to wiggle through holes?
Oh, yes. Yes. We have, just to give you an idea, we have the meat grinder, Bubblegum Alley, Eye of the Needle. So you can imagine just from the sound of those what some
just
of them
what
are.
Boy Scouts would like.
Bubblegum I could handle. The meat grinder scares me.
Meat grinder is scary. It scares me too. Yes.
So they crawl through these small openings into other big rooms.
Yes, there's some really pretty things to see. Some other formations that are absolutely beautiful. We have one called the Frozen Niagara, which is a huge formation. It's beautiful, but it's really hard and difficult to get to. The only way to get there is to
That's a great
crawl.
scout trip.
Yes,
great
it's wonderful.
So, what per person, if you have 12 people, what would that cost to spend the night there at the cave?
To come in and do the tour takes about 3.5 to 4 hours. So they finish up around 9:30 or 10 p.m. that evening, and they're ready to bed down in the cave and spend the night. It's $32 per person for the tour, to come in and do the tour and spend the night. Now, we had a lot of people that would do our tour, and they would say they wanted to come and do the tour, but they didn't have 12 people. They didn't have they couldn't make advance reservations. Maybe they were just traveling through the area. So every Saturday at 1 p.m. we start the Super Saturday Adventure. It's the same tour. It still takes about 3.5 to 4 hours. And they come in and do that tour, and they just don't spend the night. But they don't have to have advance reservations. They don't spend the night. So
I think
it's
that's
been
fabulous.
it's been very popular.
Well,
Yes.
wonderful. So how many visitors do you have a year?
We have about 150,000 visitors a year.
Excellent.
Come through. Yes, and I think a lot of people don't really realize that, especially even people in our own area in Monroe County don't realize how many people come and visit.
That makes a big impact on Monroe
It does.
County.
It really
Now,
does.
and so that 7 miles from the interstate over to Lost Sea, is that developed because of your traffic? You think it's grown up any?
Well, I'm sure it has. I don't know anybody that ever remembered coming prior to New Highway 68 being put in. It was almost just like a dirt road. Very hard to get to. So it has definitely helped us by opening up the new Highway 68, which is the road leading over to the Lost Sea.
So we got a call coming in here. Good morning. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning. It's Lisa Poe Jones.
Hey,
Poe
Lisa.
Jones, how are you?
Have you done the wild tour? I bet you have.
Yes, I have.
Yay!
Years ago. And let me tell you, Ron, there are places in there that you would not fit no matter what.
No matter if he has lost 70 pounds.
What are you saying, Lisa?
There are just some small places. There are places I couldn't fit. But there is one that to get in the hole, which I'm sure has a more scientific name, you have to run and jump.
Yes.
And I did not do that one, but there is also one where you have to turn your body into the shape of an S to get through it. So I'm surprised with my back that I was able to make it through it, but it was an amazing experience.
Great.
Well, Lisa, I'm glad you had a good time, but I think I'm roughing it if I have to carry my own luggage into the Holiday Inn.
I have one of those GoPro cameras that you can put on like your helmets and things like that. That's the way I'll get to see it.
Yeah, we'll send you through those holes, Lisa.
Well,
How many scouts have you taken up there over the years, you think?
we just did one trip, and we probably took about 40 scouts that night. And the thing they do not warn you about is to bring earplugs if you have a lot of snores in the
For
room.
snoring. I've heard that.
The acoustics in the room where you sleep is amazing. And about 5 a.m. that morning, all the snorers in the whole room got synchronized. Suddenly, everybody was popping up like popcorn going, what was that? What was that? It sounded like a beached whale in there.
Oh, my
They all
goodness.
got synchronized, and it was just unbelievable thing. I would highly recommend it,
Earplugs.
but take as few things as necessary to get by. They do have porta potty restrooms down there, because all of that stuff you carry in, you have to carry back out up those 144 steps in the morning, plus all of your child stuff that they are unwilling to
Carry.
and those steps are narrow and sometimes you go up sideways and sometimes you go forwards and then back sideways, and but it's an amazing thing, and I highly recommend it.
Good. Glad to hear that.
Great resource. So I will get off here and let y'all continue.
Thank you,
talking
Lisa.
about this.
Thank
Bye-bye,
you.
dear. She's the one that told us to use smooth stones, and
Oh,
if we were
okay.
ever out in the wild.
Good information.
And if the overnight thing is not for you, they have 16 flavors of Bluebell ice cream starting in April. I thought I'd just try to.
Oh.
Well,
some of us is not as adventure, but
I was just
16 flavors would take me 3 or 4 hours.
Me too.
I was
Me
just
too.
wanting to make sure that everybody knew all those stores and things are there in case you want to take Grandma, but Grandma don't want to go to the bottom of the cave.
Exactly,
There's
yes.
lots to do, nice, safe places to sit. Restrooms are readily available.
Gift shops.
The gift shops and all that. And do you have a blacksmith shop?
We have a blacksmith shop. We don't have a blacksmith there working, but we do have a shop with tools that are it's very interesting to look at. And we do have phone calls from people that say, they hear that the walk may be a little challenging for someone in their party, and they want to know what that person might be able to do while they are on the tour. So we have we have rocking chairs on our general store porch, very shady and very peaceful. So there's things, for the people
Or some
to
of the
do.
buildings there actually have some age to
Yes,
them?
some of the buildings, the general store and the sweet shop, were buildings brought down from the mountains in Tellico, and they're over 100 years old. So just seeing the buildings themselves, it's really a
Right
treat.
across if I remember, across the right, if you was coming in from the interstate, there used to be something down in that
A village
hole
of
or
some
kind
sort.
Is that still there?
Probably
or is that
No.
related to you at all?
No, it's not connected with us at all. There was a water slide there back in the late 70s, I think.
Probably in the mid to late 70s, there was some kind of village there that had
Yeah, 'cause
cabins and.
We went up to a JC event when we were in the JCs, the Sweetwater JCs had some kind of event right across from the Lossy, and
Well,
it seemed like just open
there-
field and some barbecue.
And there was a restaurant, a restaurant there.
That might have been what it was.
A big barbecue restaurant. I think it was
I
called.
remember barbecue.
I think it was called the Log Barn, maybe.
I think you're right. And then, but now, every now and then we'll get an urge for barbecue, and we'll drive up and get something up there. Is it Bradley's?
Yes, Bradley's
Ooh.
barbecue is wonderful too. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, if you're coming from Chattanooga up the I-75, tell people how to get there.
Okay, it's just a straight shot up I-75, 70 miles north of Chattanooga. We are on the Sweetwater exit number 60. And when you take that exit, turn right 7 miles, and we're on the left. So we're just right on Highway 68.
And just follow the signs, right?
Follow the signs, yes.
So, and coming from Knoxville, just come down and
Come down 75
Take a left at the
south
top
and
of the
take a
ramp.
left. And make sure when you're coming from Knoxville to take exit 60, because there is another Sweetwater exit, 62. And you can get there by taking that exit, but it's a little more challenging. So you might get lost. If you come right down to 60, turn left 7 miles, it's very easy to find.
well, if you live over here in Polk County and going up 411, how do you get there?
411 is another great way to come up to the Lossy, and then you would take the Madisonville exit, and then you would be turning to the left, and we're just about 4 miles on Highway 68.
And Highway 27?
Highway
I'm just testing you here. Tyler. Over in Ray County, you're going up
I think
to
she's
27,
done this a time or two.
Highway
58 and 27.
Yes. I think you eventually come out on 68 at that point near Spring City, you get on Highway 68.
Right.
And then just continue on 68, you're going to pass over the interstate at that point where the flea market is in Sweetwater. And from the flea market in that area, just about 7 miles. Continue on out, we'll be on the left.
So it's easy to find.
It is very easy to find.
The Lost Sea is easy to find.
For the people who have never been there, give us an idea of pricing for adults and children and things of that nature.
The adult
on the days that you're open.
Okay. Every day but Christmas Day. The adult rate is $18.95, and children 5 through 12 are $9.95. And we do have group rates available for groups of 15 or more. We have a military discount, a senior discount. We have a school discount for school groups that are coming.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great program for school children.
Yes,
to
very
go.
educational.
Not just the fact of just that you get to go down and ride on the boat, which is fun enough, but being history buffs as we are, we just loved all the other things. And after the top of the hour, we're going to talk about a lot more of that type of stuff coming up with the history. So $18.95 plus tax.
Yes.
Your state's got to get their share.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And so how long should you plan to be there?
If you are coming in the summer or when all of our outside village shops are open, you could easily spend 3 or 4 hours there if you wanted to. I mean, some people, of course, are on a time schedule and they need to move on. The tour itself takes about an hour and 20 minutes, and the tours begin about every 20 to 30 minutes. Now, if you come around the 4th of July, it could be, and you come in the middle of the day or any day around the 4th of July, there could be an hour to an hour and a half wait to get into the cave.
So today would be a great day to go up there.
Today would be a great day.
Today or this weekend?
Yes.
Or any weekday during the middle of the week. If you're off during the middle of the week and just, that would be a great time.
Yes.
So is it better to come late in the afternoon or early in the mornings? Or what is it?
When we're really busy, like around the 4th of July, and we're having a lot of traffic because of a holiday or something, usually later in the afternoon or first thing in the morning is better. But now in May, I will tell you that most of our May mornings are filled with school groups. Because all of the schools need to get to the Lost Sea and get back to their schools before their buses run. So most of the schools come to us between 9 and 12 in the morning. So any May morning, that's a possibility.
And that's going to be a louder tour.
Well, and you're not actually on their tour, of course.
Yeah, but if you're in there at the same time they are.
If you are in the cave at that time, it could be
okay,
louder.
yeah.
And it could be more of a wait to get in at that time because we're getting all the school children in, and they're on a tight time schedule usually.
Now, Sweetwater's Monroe County, right?
Yes.
Now, is the what type of support does the county? And I know you're going to say they do a good job, but some counties don't do as good a job supporting their local attractions, and you have to be a huge earner for their tax base there.
Right. Monroe County is wonderful to us. We have a tourism director for Monroe County, Julie McDaniel Morgan, and she is awesome. She does an awesome job of promoting the county, and she gets it. I mean, she really understands exactly what having the Lost Sea in our county does, and she is wonderful about promoting us.
150,000 people coming to your county has to be a very positive thing.
Right, of course.
Particularly people at the exit out there, those gas stations that they're going to fill up, and any restaurants and hotels in the area, the stopping there. And, and of course, I always try to tell everybody is that tourism dollars, for every dollar you spend, you make back about 7. And here in Bradley County, and we were talking about this before the show started, is that the Trail of Tears is going to be marked for the first time in Charleston, Tennessee by the National Park Service. It's going to be tremendous, and that does great. It'll be one of those big brown signs out on the interstate.
Great.
And there's
history
going to be
is this way.
There's going to be a driving tour, and so you see all the locations where Indians were camped.
Now, if you're interested in that, tomorrow afternoon at the Heritage Center, which is across the street from Charleston School, at 3 o'clock, they're going to have a meeting, and they're going to go back over all the things that the National Park Service told them. They'll have up all the big maps for you to look at, and if you're really interested in history from that area, you need to be there tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock. So there's 17 sites in Charleston that have been found to be significant.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
What that tells you is that along I-75 corridor, the aquarium in Chattanooga, you come to the Trail of Tears, the Lost Sea, then into the Knoxville event. So people who are traveling down south can stop and don't have to go to Florida to get great entertainment and at a value.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So having more and more things on the interstate, although it's somewhat competitive, but that competitive makes people stop and look. And of course, I'm sure when we have our center here in Bradley County, Charleston, there'll be a little thing out there that says Lost Sea, and people are going to look at that, and they're going to say the aquarium.
Matter of fact, our center's open now, and you need to have some of your things up there.
Absolutely, yes,
it's
great.
on Highway 11 in downtown Charleston. They'd be happy for you to put them in the brochure rack there. And see, when those brown signs come and get people off the interstate, they will find out when they go to the Heritage Center that they need to go see Blythe's Ferry. And here in the next Red Clay. And in the next few years, there's going to be a National Park Center at Moccasin Bend. And it's just going to bring more people to our area when we all are recognized. Are you on the historic landmarks? Are y'all a historic landmark?
We are a registered national landmark, yes. Okay. And you know what you were saying about people, it does add more. I think the more things that people have to visit when they go into an area, the better, because they're going to be here for a while, and they may not just want to come and do one thing and then leave and move on. They want to come and stay even for a day or two, to see everything they can in that area. So I think the more that we have to offer them, the more chance that we have of getting visitors.
And just here at the Ocoee River here, the rafting there is a huge tourism dollars for us. They may be family members who don't want to ride down the river. And from Ocoee to Sweetwater, an hour drive at the absolute most, they could go do the tour, come back at the end of the time of the people. So you've got things for people to do if they don't want to go rafting. If they don't want to go to the cave and they'd rather go fishing, look at the lakes and the rivers we have here.
Yes.
So it's unbelievable how much tourism dollars, and I'm glad to hear you got a great tourism thing. I think we're doing a better job in Bradley County. We've got, like Port Cass, probably the most historical place in America that's not marked. And so we're getting that done now. So I think that's tremendous. And I think it helps all of us.
It does. We all need to work together for that.
Yes. So, there's some folks up there that have worked tirelessly.
I'm sure you got a lot of people that live on the I-75 corridor that stop. But what other parts of the country do you see people come in to see this? And is this people plan to come see the Lost Sea, or is it something they see a sign and stop, or a combination? Yes. Of what do you think?
I think it's kind of a combination. At one time, we actually flew the Canadian flag at our business because of all the different Canadian visitors that we had going from Canada down to Florida. They would stop and visit us. I think that a lot of people, because the Lost Sea is halfway between Chattanooga and Gatlinburg, of course we get. You can't imagine how many phone calls we get from people saying they're coming from the Gatlinburg area, Pigeon Forge area, or Chattanooga area to come and see us. So as far as the Lost Sea being a destination point, I don't know that I can say they plan their vacation around it, but I think they definitely see it whenever they're going to Gatlinburg or Chattanooga or to Atlanta or to Nashville, and they think, wow, that's not too far from where we're going to be, so we're going to stop off and see that. So I think that's where the majority of our visitors come from.
Yeah, that's great though.
Yes.
I mean, if we didn't have a Gatlinburg, we didn't have an aquarium, if we didn't have Lake Winnepesaukah,
yes,
all the great attractions in the area that these other people. Although, if you live in this area and you haven't been, I saw some people on Facebook said they live down the road from you and never been to Lost Sea, and I'm going, you've got to go once.
I hear that all the time.
You've got to go once, and just to see the amazement of it. And like I say, we got some other great stories. I heard you make a presentation just about a week ago, and I'm sitting there going, these are just some great stories. And my favorite story, we'll talk about the Speakeasy coming up here in a few minutes. And there was a lady actually at the last meeting who used to go to the Speakeasy.
Yes.
And wasn't that amazing?
Wasn't that,
yes.
Yeah, I'm going,
that was fun. I wanted to tell everybody that although the Cleveland Speedway has not opened this season, and we don't know anything about that, folks, we'd like to see it open, but so far it's not open. But I'd like to tell you that Boyd's starts their season tonight. They have a new owner. The McDowells have bought that, and they've moved their program to Saturday night. And tonight's their very first race, and I hope all the racing fans will go out and support them. The hot laps start at 6:30, and the racing starts at 7 p.m. And Ron and I went down there last year a couple of occasions. They let us come down and do some live recording for our documentary, and we will tell you that the facility's clean. They do not allow drinking there, and they have a good concession stand, and it was fun. And it's loud, but go down and enjoy it.
And I believe the McDowell brothers, which are well-known dirt track racers and NASCAR racers, they are going to build a big garage, and you're going to have a driving experience school down there. You can go do NASCAR driving experiences and
things like that. Bring people to the area too.
Yes,
so we all need to work together. Boyd Speedway, located on the Tennessee-Georgia line. Officially, their address is Ringgold, Georgia, but you go to the East Ridge exit and go left.
Yeah, and I encourage all these locations that do things like this is to cross promote. They need Boyd Speedway need to come talk to you about putting a flyer up there, and you need one down there because you can imagine people coming down from the north and saying they'd like to go to a good southern dirt track race. If you like racing, that's where the real racing is. You know? So, but all that's just great, and so
we have so many people that come to the Lost Sea, and when they're getting ready to leave, they say, "What can we do next? What can we do in this area next?" So yes,
and what do you tell them? Well, I know that the flea market's got to be a big draw.
It is, and we have 2 very large brochure racks in our lobby that people bring their brochures into or send us their brochures, and of course we have all of the Chattanooga and Gatlinburg brochures, but we do have some. We have the Monroe County brochure. The Cherahela Skyway is right there.
We did that one year. It's beautiful.
So that's a 52-mile drive into Robbinsville, North Carolina. Absolutely, beautiful. Springtime and fall is. I don't know if you've been there at those times, but that's just unbelievable.
It is a curvy,
very curvy,
inclined road, and a lot of fun to drive it. And you're going to pass a lot of motorcycles.
Yes,
a lot of
motorcycles.
And down at the bottom, there's a little hut over there. It has barbecue. It's really good too. I can't think. It's a little shed like, and you've seen all the locals there. You knew that was a good place to go. I can't remember the name of it.
I could get back to barbecue.
Yeah, I remember the barbecue. Tell us about the barbecue in your place.
The barbecue that we have is very good. We have a special sauce that's a little different.
Sweet.
It is kind of sweet. It's a little different than we have 2 different kinds of sauce for people that don't prefer that, but it's very good, and it's pulled pork, and it's good. We have an awesome hamburger. We call it our Lost Sea Deluxe hamburger, and it's freshly made with fresh ground beef right there. So it's great.
Right outside there's like gem mining. Does that run during the summer months?
During the summer months, when it's warmer, the temperature, we try not to do the gem mine if it's below freezing. The water is it's too cold, and some days above freezing, it's still too cold. But it's very popular. We sell the gem dirt in one of our gift shops right beside the gem mine at the general store. And people can buy 2 different sizes of bags of dirt, and they put it in the sifter and run it through the sluice, and the gemstones appear. So,
well, Ron and I, we were up in Dahlonega, and we thought, it's raining horribly outside. We'll go into the gold mine where it's not raining, and that we can entertain ourselves for a few hours. Well, there's giant holes up through their floor. I mean, the roof up to the outside world, and so it was raining inside the cave too, and it was cold and it was pretty miserable. But it was kind of fun to go down there and see where they used to mine the gold.
We got to mine for gold too.
But now the Lost Sea
found some gold.
Yeah, it wasn't much.
The Lost Sea, when you get inside there, it's very comfortable, and it's you don't have to worry about what's going on. It can be below freezing outside, and you won't know it.
Folks, you're listening to Old Town Cleveland on Whoop FM 99.9. We got Lisa Marie Presley McClung here from the Lost Sea. She's been lost there for about 25 years, she said. You can call us here at 614-5553 if you got any questions or comments about the Lost Sea. If you got some good fruits and vegetables selling, we'll listen to that story too. Where's my friend?
Where's your
friend? Is out on Georgetown Spring Place every day. I know he'll call here in a few minutes, but please give us a call at 614-5553. And coming up April 17th at the Museum Center here in Cleveland will be the Dirt Track Life. It's a Dirt Track Life documentary that Deb and I has produced under Old Town Productions. And this is our second documentary. Last year we did Caney Creek, which was a historical area up on the Ocoee River. And we're doing dirt track racing this year, and
we're kind of thinking about doing one on gospel music,
the old gospel music, that used to sing around, and the Spears families, and
if we can get past the
copyright
all
the songs, that's the thing we do.
But it's the Dirt Track Life's coming, and Ron, who's going to be on the show next week?
Daryl Patterson, former ABC Channel 9 sports guy who grew up in McMinn County, still lives in McMinn County, and he's going to tell us about growing up in McMinn County. And
he retired in December, and he said he's busier than he's ever been, and it's taken us till almost April to get him on the show.
So all our sports buff will be able to ask a lot of questions because he's interviewed a lot of the sports people or legends. When legends are the high school kids and the college kids that are played in the area here, and Daryl, and then of course growing up in McMinn County, we'll find out a little bit about Athens too. So don't forget to do that. And coming up, later in the month we got a gentleman named Mr. Nicely. And he is an expert and written a book about underground Chattanooga.
It's taken us years to get him here.
Wow. Chattanooga is actually the first floor of most buildings are now underground. And if you go along, you'll see some of the windows from the first floor are now street level or even below street level. So they did that because of the flooding. And he's going to tell us about underground Chattanooga, which a lot of people don't realize that there's an underground.
Which is the same thing that happened in Atlanta and a lot of towns. Really, they finally figured out, hey, we can't, continue to put up with this flooding. But I know that one of the workout places there in Chattanooga, I've seen a picture online that sports bar that they're there, and you can see in the bottom of a window or something up in the edge of the picture that they're underground.
Yeah, if you go underneath there's a lot of those places. Some of them are parking garages now, and some of them are just they don't go into. But he's written a book about it, and he's the president of the Chattanooga Historical Society, so he has a lot of knowledge and will be coming in here. So we try to have something different every week. And
sounds like it.
Of course, somewhere along the way we'll have to have PDAB back.
We love PDAB. We love the fact that he's healthy enough to come visit with us.
Once again, tell everybody the location of the Lost Sea.
The Lost Sea is located in Sweetwater, just 40 miles south of Knoxville and 70 miles north of Chattanooga on Highway 68. The actual address is 140 Lost Sea Road, and our web address is www.thelostsea.com.
TheLostSea.com. Okay.
Yeah, for many of you who may not realize this, that Ryan Harris that used to work here at WOOP that now live in Hawaii, bless his little heart.
He is now Chief Petty Officer Ryan Harris.
Yeah. He was a guide at the Lost Sea. I think that was one of his first jobs.
He was an awesome tour guide.
Well, you just don't get much more country than Ryan, and he always has funny things to say, so I'm sure he was a great guide.
He was wonderful.
Ryan was a good guy.
And he is newly married, if someone hasn't told our listeners. And all I see is posts of him online where they're going kayaking and all that fun stuff.
Is there an 800 number or what's the telephone number, 800 number?
It is 423-337-6616. We also have a Facebook page if you want to like us on Facebook. And if you want to shoot us an email, it's thelostsea@gmail.com.
All right, great. So if you haven't been, call and find out about they're open all the time. Hours?
Right now we're open 9 until 6, and that's through April. Starting in May, 9 until 7, and June, 9 until 7, July, 9 until 8. So the hours get shorter as we get into winter.
Here we got a call.
Good morning, you're live on Old Town Cleveland.
How you doing, Ron?
Fine. Brad, how you doing, sir?
Good.
What's going on?
I was going to let you know there's some basketball today.
Basketball. Tell us what's going on.
Tennessee pulled out a big win yesterday. Tennessee and Florida are playing today, Ron.
That's right. I heard that.
At 1 o'clock.
All right. What channel is that on?
Huh?
You know what channel that is on?
I have to find that out.
All right.
And Georgia is going to be playing Kentucky today.
All right. And you do know what time those are either?
Play at 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. All right.
Plays at 1 o'clock.
Tennessee plays at 1. Ron?
Yes.
And the Georgia game, Georgia and Kentucky play at 3.
Oh, 3 o'clock. Okay.
3 o'clock. Yeah. after these games Saturday on,
Yes.
they win. They play Sunday.
All right. Next Sunday.
Sunday? No, the 16th.
Oh. The 16th. Tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah, and Selection Sunday is this Sunday as well.
Okay. Well, let's hope that we're watching the Vols play on Sunday.
Today.
Yes.
Today and Sunday.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Brett.
Thanks, Brett.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Brett keeps us up to date on all the sporting events around the area. Ron, are we ready to take a little bit of
We
break?
are ready to take a break.
We'll be back with we're going to go see if we can find the lost C. We'll be back in 3 or 4 minutes.
WOOP LP, Cleveland, Tennessee.
You need money overnight? Check into cash. Your time is tight. .com. Bank account's too low? Check into cash. So where do you go? .com. Do it online in a record time. It's the easy way to get money next day. Do a quick click from home at checkintocash.com. Just stay in the house, check into cash, and grab your mouse.com. Get your money online, check into cash, right on time.com. You can be sure it's secure from our bank straight to yours. Do a quick click from home at checkintocash.com. No time to get away, check into cash. You gotta stay home.com. Hey, that's okay, check into cash. You can do it alone.com. Any old time, do it online. Just stay in the house and grab your mouse. Do a quick click from home. Get your money overnight at the right website. Do a quick click from home. Go to checkintocash.com.
Wheeler Technologies has moved. Visit them at their new location at 490 Grove Avenue Southwest next to Bradley Rentals. Same great folks, same great service with a better location to serve you. Call Wheeler Technologies for voice, data, and security needs at 664-TECH. That's 664-8324. And remember, depend on Wheeler Technologies for the current time and temperature every day at 476-1111. Tennessee Alarm Contractor C1750. Kiesler Incorporated is in the business of recycling your metal, and they pay cash. The only covered scrapyard around where you can recycle rain or shine. They're located off the bypass on Overhead Bridge Road. Automobiles, appliances, copper, stainless steel, tin, all metals can be recycled at Kiesler, and you can walk away with cash. That's right, they pay cash, and they are the friendliest scrapyard in the Southeast. If you have unwanted metal just laying around, bring it to Kiesler Recycling today and walk away with cash. Kiesler Recycling open Monday through Saturday, 7:30 to 5, or call for more details, 614-3000.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. for Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company.
In NASCAR, there's nothing a fan, team, or driver wants more than to be first. First on the leaderboard, first out of the pits, first to the checkered flag. In the nation, being first is just as important. At Nationwide Insurance, we put members first because we don't have shareholders, which means we're only focused on your needs. We provide you with the best protection possible and a peace of mind you'll only find when you put people before profits. It's why the Earnhardt family has trusted Nationwide Insurance for more than 35 years. To join the nation, contact a local Nationwide agent today.
Call Eric Neff, Nationwide Insurance, Brian Norton Agency, downtown Cleveland, 599-1026.
Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates, Columbus, Ohio. Paid endorsement. Not all Nationwide companies are mutual companies. Not all policyholders are members of a mutual company.
All of my friends that I loved yesterday have gone. They have gone home. Gone home. They have gone home. The songbirds are singing.
Every week we play that song and dedicate it to those friends who've passed on, and we will miss you all. And so today here on Whoop FM in Old Town Cleveland on Whoop 99.9 or www.whoopfm.com, we got Lisa Marie Presley McClung here, who's from the Lost Sea, who's been there 25 years or
plus
her entire adult life. I think she's been there. She started work when she was 10.
Close. No.
So we're glad to have her here, and we're talking about the Lost Sea, which is Craighead Cavern or Cave?
Caverns.
Craighead Cavern. Now, where was it owned by the Craig family?
It was owned by a Cherokee chief, William Craighead.
Okay. Cherokee chief, and so that was his reservation in that area there.
I assume he owned the cave and the property around it for a long time, many years. That's where it got the name.
So now, when did that come? When did he lose it?
Well,
I'm sure it's part of the removal, which removal would happen earlier than what it would here in Bradley County, because that had already became Tennessee down to the Hiwassee River. So do you have any kind of time frame? 1800s or anything?
The date, I actually have a copy of the land grant when he acquired possession of the cave.
Okay.
He acquired possession of the cave. I can tell you the exact date. I have it right here. February the 11th, 1824. Mm-hmm. So in the early 1900s, the Jacobson family actually owned the cave. Jacobs family owned the cave. Now, it's a really interesting story. Mr. Jacobs owned he owned the actual entrance of the cave, but George Kyle owned most of the property that the cave was on. So George Kyle wanted to make the cave become an attraction. At that time, it didn't actually have the name of the Lost Sea. So he wanted to make it an attraction, but he didn't own the property that the entrance would be on. So Mr. Jacobs and his family owned it, and that was about 12 acres that he needed. So he went to his friend, who was an attorney, William E. Michael, and actually asked him to go in as a partner to purchase the property and put the money in to make it become an attraction. So that's how the whole story got started.
So did they sell it? The 12 acres? Or?
They did.
Okay.
They did. And then after the cave was open commercially in the 60s, the Jacobs family, or prior to opening, they bought even more property that the Jacobs family had, closer to where the entrance building is now.
Is any kind of mining or any kind of minerals been found in that location?
Well, they're not really, other than the saltpeter, for the dirt, the nitrate in the dirt for the gunpowder.
Yeah. Good morning. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hello, Ron and Debbie.
Hey, Miss Ella. How you doing today?
Morning, Miss Ella.
I've been arrested.
You been arrested?
Yeah.
Arrested or rested?
I've been resting.
Oh, resting. Oh, careful how you say that.
I know.
I thought you'd been arrested again.
I went to Pokies last night. I had a ball.
How could I guess that you went to Pokies last night? How many beers you drank last night?
I don't know, but I had fun.
You don't know?
There was one guy, a young guy there. He's a good dancer. He danced several dances with me.
Miss Ella is a cougar.
Ooh, okay.
Hey, Pooh Bah was there, and another band was there.
So you got arrested with Pooh Bah.
Did Pooh Bah sing, "You're the reason my children are ugly," or "Our children are ugly"?
No, he sang, "Take this job and shove it."
Yep.
That sounds like it. I'm trying to think of Pooh Bah's real name. Don Mealer, I think, is his real name, but Pooh Bah is his stage name.
Hey, I need a lawyer, Ron.
You need a lawyer? Well, you have been arrested.
No, I want to tell you why. Every time I go to Walmart, the old Walmart, they think I steal something. And I do not steal, Ron.
Well, I would recommend that you go downtown across from the courthouse and see Franklin Chansey.
Okay, I will.
Tell him that Ron Moore sent you.
Well, this guy was in there. This guy was in there following me yesterday or Friday, and I didn't know who it was. He kept following me around.
You thought?
I kept looking at him, and I just took a remote control back because I couldn't get it to work on my TV, and he looked over the calendar to see what I brought back.
Yeah.
So they are following me in there, and I don't steal anything. Never in my.
Well, just flash them, Miss
Well,
Ellen. They'll quit following you.
Somebody else told me to do that with these guys up on the hill, but I said, hey, that's what they're like.
Well, you right across from the courthouse up there, next to that restaurant up there, is Franklin Chancey's office. Go in there and tell him that Ron Moore sent you.
Okay, I will, because I'm tired of them harassing me every time I go in.
Well, that's what you need to do. Hey, we got to go there. Thanks, Miss Ella.
Bye, Miss Ella.
Bye-bye.
Behave.
Franklin Chancey is here on every Wednesday morning. He's he is the Democratic representative to the side of the backfire where there's a Republican and Democrat, and they argue for an hour. They yell for an hour, and I don't know. They've never agreed on anything.
Wow.
They agreed that it's Wednesday at 8:00, I believe, and then after that, it's downhill from there. But yeah, Franklin's a local attorney,
right?
You're welcome, Franklin.
If you missed our show last week, about Tuesday of every week, we have those posted onto Facebook where quite a few people come back and listen to them again, I think, while they're at work and stuff. But the shows are always on there. You
can go to whoopfm.com and you'll go to the archive page and click on archives and then wait and wait. And when Deb has the website up to date, the oldtowncleveland.com website, you can just go click on it, the link, and it goes quicker, but she's behind.
I'm behind.
So
I've been working on a documentary.
So we'll get that updated too. So and you can visit Old Town Cleveland on Facebook, Old Town Cleveland, and if you want to join, you'll have to click there, but we'll have to put you over into the group because we can only have 5,000 people on your regular page, and so we're over that limit. So now the cave, we were talking about who owned it, and so now who owns it today? Oh, you see the light. I didn't see the light. Good morning. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hey, Doug.
I'll visit it.
We lost you, Doug. Doug.
Hey, he must have been on that flight with all those people.
Uh-oh.
Call us back, Doug.
Doug, call us back there. Who owns the caves today?
The cave is privately owned.
Okay.
Is it?
It is. Let me tell you how that started. There's Doug.
Let's try again.
Okay.
Is that you, Doug? Hello?
Doug's in the Bermuda Triangle this morning.
Doug, we cannot hear you for some reason.
There he is. No?
Doug, he hung up.
Okay.
Maybe a bad connection or.
All right, we'll try that again here. Doug, keep calling till we get back. So it's privately owned?
It is. Okay, like I told you, in the early days when before the cave was opened in 1965, more and more money was needed to open it to become an attraction. So they had people buy up pieces of stock in it. And I think everybody in Sweetwater, Monroe County, and probably surrounding counties owned a small piece of stock. Mm-hmm. And then in 1985, one of the major stockholders bought everyone out. So it's now owned privately. And I had heard at one time that it was actually listed in the New York Stock Exchange in the early 60s. But then I was later told that was not true. But I still have phone calls today even from people that say, hey, my family owned some stock in the Lost Sea back in the early 60s. Is it still any good? And it's not, because it's, in 1985, it was bought by one person. Mm. So.
Okay, so now it's been running 50 years, coming up next year.
Next year, June the 6th was the actual opening day, 1965. So we're going to have a special. We're going to have several special events planned for the year, but on that day we will have something really special.
Okay.
I think the ticket price that day when it opened was something like $2.10 for each adult. So we may do something with the first 100 people or the first
50 people.
50 people will get that rate or something
like
that.
That's fun.
Well, make sure next year on that day or the week before on the Saturday, call us that morning and remind us here on Old Town Cleveland.
I will
We'd
do
love
that,
for you to
yes.
call in and tell us what's going on up there, because we
Well, anytime. We're here.
Okay.
You can reach us here on Saturday mornings.
Cub Scout groups, Girl Scout troops, church groups, want to go spend the night in the cave, we'll tell you that information after this phone call. Good morning, you're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Yeah, this here's T-Bandy.
Hey, T-Bandy, how
what's
are you?
up, buddy?
I'm good for an old man.
There you go.
Yeah, I gotta go next Friday at 6:30 and get my heart scraped off again.
All righty. Well, we could just hook you up to the battery chargers and give you a zap and see if we can't fix that for you.
I'm gonna have to do something, yeah. No, I got a fish truck coming Friday morning. The same morning I'm going to.
I don't guess you'll be there, but somebody else will be holding down the fort, I'm sure.
Tommy will.
Tommy will. And if you can order fish at 478-2405, or you can just show up down there and they'll have containers to sell you the fish.
I sure Tom will take care of it.
That's right. He's a good man to take care of things while you're gone.
He got that red Jeep. I'd say he get a lot of questions about his Jeep.
Yeah, there you go. All righty. Thanks, T. Bye-bye. T helps supply all of our local ponds and lakes with fish. And
interesting.
So you can get grass carp and bluegill and perch and catfish and all that. This is not to fry.
No, these aren't fried fish.
Oh, okay.
You have to grow them a little bit bigger to get them there. So, okay. Now, so the cave was used for the Indians, or by the Indians.
We think so.
I would think so.
Yeah. If it was shelter and water, I would think so. And owned by Chief Craighead.
Sure. Yes.
Now, how do we know he's a chief?
Well, that, I guess, is just from people from one person to another saying it.
Okay.
But like I was telling Ron, I have the actual copy of the land grant where he acquired possession of the cave in 1824. But everyone said he was a Cherokee chief, and that's just what history tells us.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a good story.
I didn't know until years ago that his name was William. I always called him Chief Craighead, but I didn't find out until I saw a copy of the land grant that his name was William.
You know, and I may have heard that name before, but before last week I hadn't heard the Craighead Caverns. Yeah.
You know, and anyone named Craig around this area can pretty much go back and find that they're related to Craighead.
Probably so. Yes.
I think so, because I've tracked a few of those in my family, and they ended up in Monroe County, and they were Craigs, and they lived right there at the cave.
We know the Civil War from the markings. We think the Indians were there, maybe even prehistoric Indians, woodlands, and before that, there's no way to know because that cave's been there a few days. And then then it Civil War, but it was a speakeasy.
It was.
Now tell everybody, for the younger people, what a speakeasy is, and the older people probably went to.
Well, I think it's a bar. What it was at the Lost Sea, it was called the Cavern Tavern.
The Cavern Tavern.
Now, there was a dance floor, a wooden dance floor installed in a part of the cave. Actually, it's the part of the cave now that we use to sleep our overnight tours.
Okay.
So there was a dance floor. People came in and played instruments. There was alcohol. And
this is during Prohibition, right?
1947. And so people discovered that they could come to the cave. And now remember, the only way they had to get in was to come down those 144 steps. So they
came in sober.
They came in. Well, probably most of them anyway. Yeah. But they would come in and they would drink all the alcohol that they wanted to. And they say because of the high humidity in the cave, which is about 95%, and the constant cool temperature of only 58 degrees, no matter how much they drank, they wouldn't feel the effects of it. So they would be down in the cave. So they would be down in the cave drinking and having a good time dancing on the dance floor. And then when they started to go home, they discovered that when they started climbing up those 144 steps, the higher they climbed, the higher they got. So they say that a lot of them came tumbling back down before they ever made it out. But a lot of people around our area still talk about coming to the Cavern Tavern and how it was a good. The lady told us on Sunday it was a good place to go on a date. I think is what she said.
She's the cutest little thing.
That was good. Hey, you're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hey, Rob, this is Bob K.
Hey,
Bob
Doodle-Doo.
We started talking about alcohol, and you called.
Listen, I've been listening to your show with interest here, and I'm wondering if Red would take me up to the Lost.
Red?
I don't think the Cavern Tavern's there anymore, Bob. You and Red wouldn't have any place to get you something to drink but up in the gift shop at the water fountain.
Oh,
Now we do still have one of the stills. 3 stills were found in the cave, and we still have one in the cave, but it's not running. So
How about selling me to that?
Bob, if you had a still, you'd be in jail because you'd be like Otis.
That's right. No, I'm talking about that, do a little drinking of the libations and so on, and then try to come upstairs. Now, I've done that. I know what that old boy means. Well, listen, folks, I'll let you go.
Thanks, Bob. Good to hear from you.
Maybe Red's listening, and she'll call in and figure out what dates are going.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, get Big Red on the telephone and talk to her.
I'm going to give her your number.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Well, now, was the cave actually in the 50s a fallout shelter?
it was. It was stocked by the Civil Defense as a fallout supply shelter and it had enough supplies to feed 20,000 people in case of a national disaster for 2 weeks.
Wow.
And the supplies were down there until even after the cave opened in 1965. They were there and were actually stocked in that area that I told you about where the dance floor was. And that's the same area where we sleep our overnight wild cave tours.
So what kind of food was it? Was it
crackers, high protein crackers, food that you would not have to eat a lot of to get a lot of nourishment from sanitary products, different things like that in the and mostly crackers. And it's really funny because what happened, people that were spending the night in the cave eventually got curious about what was in that area that we had covered up with tarps, and some of the tins popped open, the crackers came out, and that caused a little problem with mice. So we had to take everything out of the cave. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the men that we had at the cave doing maintenance for us at that time took some of the crackers and fed his hogs.
Well,
the crackers.
Of course. They're probably still pretty good.
And we still have some of them.
So tell our listeners what happened on 9/11 when we had the incident in New York.
Yes, we had people calling us and wanted to know if that's where they needed to come. In case there was a disaster closer to seek shelter. And so I told them if they came, they needed to bring food because there was no food there anymore.
Go ahead, caller. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning. This is Doug.
Hey, Doug.
We finally got you.
You were out in the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, I don't know what that's all about. But anyway, I wanted to vouch for that deluxe False Sea cheeseburger. I really enjoyed sitting on I guess that cabin was the gift shop, sitting on the front porch.
Yes, and the rocking chairs.
Just watching the people go and come, and my grandniece really enjoyed that gem mining for the gems with a gold pan there and like a flume mine.
Yes, wonderful.
All day there. I mean, that really caught her attention, and she just had the best time.
Oh, great.
For those little gems. I'll be honest with you, I had a hard time when I went in the cave. I guess it's just a testament to my poor physical condition. I got down in there, and I got out of breath, and my sister got talk to the guide, and my sister escorted me back out. I barely made it back out. She had a double handful of my overall galisters, and I barely got back out of there.
It is quite a climb up out of there.
Yes.
You have to be.
It is a tough climb.
It is, yeah. Hey, Doug, what's going on with the cranes?
They're gone.
Are they gone? Okay.
Yep. Going back to Michigan.
I miss them every year.
Well, they come over my house. Oh, there was hundreds flying over the house down there
a few weeks
for a
ago.
while.
Yeah, I can't say they're all gone, but they're all headed back now. And I haven't been over. This is the first year in the past 15 years I haven't been over there. I'm protesting TWRA's opening of the hunting season, and well, I have foul language about
foul language. Yeah. Well, Doug, we appreciate your support of the birds.
Yes. Anyway, I really like the Lost Sea. It's really neat, and that
great,
very, very authentic. Those first logs, great oversized logs.
Yes.
I don't know where you got the cabins, but they're very, very authentic. Dovetail joints and everything.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, they were moved down from the mountains in Tellico.
And the cheeseburger is good.
No, I just ate one. It filled me up.
Doug and I are expert on cheeseburgers.
Yay, me too.
And the rocking chairs on the front porch were great.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Glad to hear it.
Now I'm going to tell you what wasn't great.
What's that?
Safety rail going down in there. It's too low. I'm almost as tall as Ron, and I had to lean over to hold that safety rail. I really wanted a hold of it because I'm not as stable as I used to be, and it needed to be higher. It needs to be raised up a little bit.
Yeah, it's not actually a safety rail. It's just a rail to keep you on the pathway. But you know, I've had a lot of people ask me if we couldn't come up with some kind of a little tram or something to take people through there. That might be an idea.
You know, definitely for people that are in my physical condition.
You would give an extra couple of dollars to ride that tram out there, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I wanted the golf cart to carry me back up out of there, but they never do it. They were communicating by walkie-talkie, and I barely made it out, to be honest. It's just, I'm in that.
I tried to jump that guy as he come by on that golf cart, but I missed him.
It's hard. It's hard for me too. Like I said, I say I'm going to go down there and do it several times a day, but I never get around to it. It's hard for me to get back out some days.
All right, Doug. Thank you. Bye-bye. So tell us more about the Speakeasy. I mean, do you know who ran the Speakeasy?
I don't really know. If they're, I'm sure they probably had a manager. It was open for a while. Don't know his name or anything, but people from around the area constantly are talking about how they came over to Craighead Caverns and did the Cavern Tavern. And I think Debbie was saying a little while ago, or one of the ladies called in and said about the snoring and the acoustics down there, and it is absolutely awesome. And so whenever they had a band that played, it sounded great.
Oh, I bet.
I say it was unbelievable.
That's great. But I can imagine not even drinking and walking up 140 steps down there after being involved in dancing or whatever was going on.
Even just walking down there and walking back up them, it's a challenge to me anyway.
Yeah, well, I can imagine when you got to the top, you just laid up there at the top. If you made the 140 steps, you just laid down outside.
Yes.
I guess would the pressure change or the humidity, does that really affect
it? It does, yes.
I didn't think about that.
Let me tell you this. If you are walking up those steps and you're breathing hard anyway and you have glasses on and the humidity starts to change, they say your glasses fog up really like you wouldn't believe. But yes, it does change because you're going from, first of all, you're walking, you're breathing hard, and you're going from 95% humidity back up to the entrance and coming outside, especially if it's cold. It's such a contrast to being down there.
Well, or if it's extremely hot, I imagine it's pretty
yes.
Because you're being at 58 degrees constantly?
Yes, 58. And that 58 is very warm when you're moving around, just like for the overnight tours and any of the tours that are down there. When you're moving around, it feels very warm. But when you stop for the night to sleep, go to sleep with the overnight tours, it gets bone chilling. It feels absolutely cold by the time you come back out the next morning.
Now, if you do that overnight thing, you probably shouldn't want to wear your best shoes, right?
No, you want to wear clothes you don't want to ever see again.
Or never want to see again.
You get really muddy and dirty on that tour, shoes included, yes.
And this mud doesn't come out real easy?
I've never tried to wash. I've just taken mine, usually my clothes. I wear something old, and sometimes if I wear jeans, I will try to wash them. But the red keel clay in the mud stains. So it's really hard to get out.
So in other words, you don't want to wear your new kicks.
No,
right?
And I've seen some of those Boy Scouts come in with their uniforms, and that's what they're going to crawl in. I said, "Oh, your mother is going to kill you."
Yeah, you're going to buy a new uniform,
yes.
right? Yeah,
and we put it in all of our literature, and it's on our website about what to wear, and we tell them when they make the reservations, wear old clothes you don't want to ever see again. But
should they wear long sleeves when they're in there?
I think so, because a lot of the tour, when you do the Wild Cave tour, you're on your elbows a lot. So I would definitely wear long sleeve, and sleeves and long pants are definitely required. Now, as far as just the commercial tour, especially if you're coming in from the summer when it's 100 degrees outside, it can feel really cool in the beginning. But then you get into the cave, the humidity's 95%. So you start to warm up as you get down there.
Yeah, it wasn't a problem. And like Doug said, for me, it was a tough climb coming back up.
Yes,
and
after the boat ride.
Yeah, and I've lost quite a bit of weight now, and I think it would be easier. Although my knees are getting older, but I think I could get out of there easier now. And if you're a hiker or something like that, it's nothing to you. I mean, Doug and I were both big guys, so Yeah, it make a difference.
Yes, it does.
So, but take your time coming out.
Take your
no
time.
rush. And, I sat down a couple of times and was able to do it.
There's 3 rest stops positioned throughout the tour as you walk out. So, and at each stop, the tour guides stop and tell you about things. So that gives you some time to catch your breath before you go up to the next one. So it's a fourth of a mile, and it's pretty much straight up. So, anybody that has a walking problem, might want to think about it. We have a sign at the beginning of the tour for heart patients, to check with the management so they can tell you what it's all about. But there's still a lot of people. 100-year-old man just a few weeks ago went down and came back out, and he did great. So it just depends on the individual.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It is. You could be younger and be out of shape and be tough. So
yes.
But it's true of any cave environment you go into that you're going to go down. Usually, there are very few cave adventures where it's just flat and level and dry and all that thing. It's one of the drier caves that you ever go in.
It is, other than the humidity. Yes, as far as the water seepage and everything, it is very dry.
Now, what about organisms and things in the water and in the wilds? I mean, if you had people come in and study the creatures in the dirt and stuff like that?
We have through the years. The only thing that was ever found in the cave when it was open commercially was some snails. We see very few bats in the cave. Every now and then we see bats around that natural entrance. And one may fly out as you're going into that entrance. But very, very few bats throughout the cave. The lights and people have pretty much driven them up closer to the original entrance.
So they at one time was there a lot of, do you think there've been a lot of bats before?
I think at one time because of the bat guano that was in the dirt, for the nitrate making the gunpowder. Yes, I think so. And like I said, every now and then we will see one fly through the cave, and they're usually very tiny, about the size of a chicken nugget. And they're very tiny, and even now, every now and then we see one in the yellow tunnel. And, one will, I guess, maybe on its way in or probably coming out of the cave.
Bats are very good for you. They kill a lot of insects, so don't freak out about bats. And they're not going to fly into your hair and, and bite you in your brain and stuff like that. I'm sure that you wouldn't want to get bit by a bat, but I don't think that's a concern.
Yeah, we don't. We just and I think in all the many years I've been there, I've probably seen 2 or 3 that whole time. So
even if you're afraid of bats, they're not going to land on you. You're a little bit bigger than them. They're going to go after the things that they're bigger than.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's and it's amazing you don't see as many bats in that cave.
Right, it is, and some caves are absolutely full of bats that that come in and out, but we just don't have them, and that's one reason that we don't have to worry about the white nose syndrome that a lot of the caves in the area are having problems with, and having to close. So, and we've had many, many calls from people wanting to know if that has affected us. And I think USA Today, about 2 years ago, published an article that read all of the caves in the South have been closed. All commercial caves have been closed.
Great.
Oh, yes. We were inundated with calls when that happened. And there were several caves that were closed, but not all of them by any means.
So, what's the next nearest cave to you here that people go to?
Probably Ruby Falls is the next, most visited. But there's some that are closer.
It's a little bit more level because they take you down in
the elevator. Yes.
But if you're as tall as I am, it's painful. Go ahead, caller. Are you there?
Hello.
Hello. Go ahead.
Ron, you made a real good point right then.
What's that?
You'll learn that when you get in the middle of your Master Gardener classes. You'll learn that bats are very, very good for us.
Well, thank you, Kim.
They'll actually eat a whole lot more mosquitoes than purple martins do, and our speaker that night, he's got a thing for purple martins too. So they are really big insect eaters. So there's even actually some plans, and I don't know whether we'll pass them out that night, but there's some plans for bat houses that you can actually build.
I have a bat house. I don't have any bats in it.
Ah, okay. Well, you may have moved that thing around.
I think so. I put it in an open type. It's down through a set of trees, but it's an open path. So I may have to move it out closer to a field or something, right?
May have to do that. And Debbie, thanks for letting us have Ron. I'm sure he's going to enjoy this. We certainly enjoy having him in the Master Gardener program.
Well, Deb's had to leave. She's gone down to Tennessee Trail of Tears meeting, and she's actually been nominated for an officer of the Tennessee Trail of Tears Association.
We'll tell her congratulations.
Yeah. Well, now she's got to win the election, so she says that she's just going down there. Whether she wins or not, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, for people who don't, this is Kim Frady. He teaches or part of the Tennessee Agricultural System. Tell us the official title there. I'll make sure I get it right.
UT Extension.
And so if you have problems with your dirt or your animals and things, this is the guy I talk to. And I'm involved in a master gardening program. It's a 16-week course, and I'm going to all about dirts and animals and flowers when I get done, right?
That's right. What the good thing about it is when Ron gets through, you're going to be able to answer everybody's questions. So that's the good thing. You're going to be able to help us to be just educate folks in Bradley County or surrounding counties or wherever. We can share our knowledge then.
Well, that's great. I'm saying, the wildlife and the vegetables, and we studied dirt last week, and amazing what is in dirt, more than I ever thought.
Very cool.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Kim.
Enjoy the show.
All right, bye-bye. Yeah, I was always wanted to take this master gardening program. Then after you become a master gardener, you have to do so much community service every year, helping other people with their growing problems. And the first thing I have learned, though, you've got to get your soil tested. Go to your ag extension agent. They'll give you a box and instructions how to get your dirt. It costs you about $7 to get a sample done. And you'll get back and they'll tell you what your dirt needs.
So, depending on what type of soil you have, depends on what you can grow, I assume?
Well, that, or if you want to grow tomatoes, you would put it listed as tomatoes. If you want to grow corn, they'll tell you what you need to add. So, and some interesting things. But that's the first thing you need to do if you want to grow things. Go ahead, caller. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Now, wait a minute, Ron. You're going to become a master gardener?
Yes, that's right.
Well, now, you can't grow hot dogs, don't you?
But I can grow all that stuff that goes on it. Did you hear Bob Cash call in for you?
Yeah, I did.
So when you and him going to La C?
Well, I don't know if we are or not. Bob's too bad to go flirt with these other women. I'm mad.
Well, now, Bob will want this, so he'll want either go Dutch treat or you pay for everything.
I know him. He'll be wanting me to buy the gas, buy the food, and buy him something to drink.
But he's real appreciative.
And that could run into a lot of money. Think about this.
If you're just buying him Coke, it won't cost you much at all.
Yeah, but still, it's not fair, He's got to come across with some money.
Did you hear that there used to be 3 stills in the La C?
They did.
Yeah, they found 3 stills. There may have been more than that, but they found 3 down there.
3 working stills, that's right.
I'm clearing myself right now. It wasn't me.
Where was your still at?
Mine was in Georgia in the mountains. Right between 2 mountains down in the holler.
In the holler. Well, that's where the good moonshine is. Where'd you get? Did you have a creek come through there for the water source?
Yeah, right down below us. There's a big old creek.
So did you just make corn mash, or did you make other things too?
Your old corn liquor.
Corn liquor. That's the good stuff.
Oh, yeah. Good money, too.
Yeah.
Till the federal men got us.
All right. Thank you, Ed.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah. Interesting. We have great callers, don't we?
We do.
Yeah. The stills, do anybody have an idea who operated the stills?
No, of course not. Nobody would own up to that. But they disassembled. They were actually found closer to the original entrance. That way I assumed they could vent the smoke out or whatever.
Yeah.
And one of them was moved down into the cave closer to the lake just to be set up so that people could get an idea of what an old moonshine still actually looked like. And then one of them was disassembled and moved across the street next to our general store.
Do you know what size they were or anything? I think I got a picture of them there.
I don't know the size. I mean, I don't know what the different sizes of stills would be.
I thought I had a picture of it.
What about if we offered tickets to the next caller free tickets.
Well, that's great.
Could we do that?
We can do that. If you'd like to win a free ticket or two.
2 tickets to the Lost Sea.
Call us at 614-55. Don't take long for people to get something free. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, this is Lisa again.
Lisa, you'd like to win 2 free tickets then, right?
Yes, I sure would.
Okay.
Lisa Poe Jones.
Okay.
And what you need to do?
If you would, Lisa, send me your name and your mailing address to thelostsea@gmail.com.
Okay.
Send me your name and mailing address, and that will be a private site, and I will mail you the 2 tickets, or I can hold them there for you if you think you're coming in the next few days.
No, it'll probably be. We have something going on the whole month of March.
Okay.
But since I have you on the line, I actually have a question you may have answered at a time that I didn't hear.
Okay.
At one time, you were billed as the largest underground lake in the world, and I think they found one slightly larger in China.
No, it was in Africa.
Okay, Africa. So
we lost our designation as the world's largest.
Yes.
So we are now America's largest.
Okay. But when they were doing that comparison, were they also including the areas that you cannot access at the Lost Sea?
Well, I assumed that they were, but one of the things about this other lake is it's not even a commercial cave.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't think it should count, but that's just me being, prejudiced, I guess. But, yes, it did include those other areas, but it's still larger. And that was probably about 20 years ago, 15 or 20 years ago. So we had to change our designation from the world's largest to America's largest underground lake.
So, actually, you could be all of the Americas, North and South America. So
yes.
So that's still a pretty good.
It is.
So
it really is. Yes.
So, but we do enjoy it up there.
Great. I'm glad to hear that.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll get you those tickets in the mail.
That's great. Enjoy. Now, Larry the Cable Guy came and did his television show.
Only in America.
Only in America. If you've not watched it, he does crazy things in communities and their community events. So he came and visited a Lost Sea.
He did.
And he did the
Wild Cave Tour, yes.
He
didn't spend the night, but he did the Wild Cave Tour.
And I understand that he was Larry the Cable Guy is a little bit bigger guy, and his idea of crawling through those caves were about like mine.
Maybe worse.
Okay, tell us some stories about that.
Well,
what's his real name?
His name is Dan Lawrence. I wrote it down because I can never remember. I didn't realize that his name was not Larry. I guess that's just me. But his name is actually Daniel Lawrence Whitney.
Whitney, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that until he actually came to film. But Larry has a show called Only in America. It's on the History Channel.
Mm-hmm.
And on this show, he gets to go into different places and do people's jobs and learn what it's like to have those jobs that you can only do in America.
And with his comic twist.
Yes,
onto
definitely.
And it's a great show.
It
really,
is a great
and
show.
You learn a lot about the community.
Yes.
And of course, Larry gets himself into problems constantly. Hey, I think he went and sung with the Naked Cowboy in New York one time.
Sounds like Larry. Yes.
Yeah. So I tell you, but so
he's a fun guy. The History Channel contacted us in July of 2012 and asked if we would be interested, and of course we were, because you just can't get that exposure anywhere else. So they sent a scout to come out and do parts of the Wild Cave Tour, and to see if that might be something Larry would want to do. And they did. They liked it, and so they made arrangements for him to come back. They were very secretive about the date that he would come because they didn't want a lot of people there to do interviews and be there for autographs and things like that. So we only found out a couple of days before he came to the cave when he was actually coming. So they came in September of 2012 and did the filming. He came in the morning. It was a Thursday morning. He came in and went into the cave around 10:30 that morning and was down there all day filming. He actually didn't know I don't think he actually knew he was going to be crawling into some of the tightest areas that he did, so he was a little bit put out the first crawl he came out of, and he was not happy with the History Channel, and he didn't like being into those tight spaces because he's a little claustrophobic, and it doesn't take being claustrophobic very much to be in those areas to feel very very tight. So we actually were able to see some of the areas lit up that we've never seen actually like that before. But the whole thing with us was that Larry was going to do the crawls, and he was going to discover a new crawl for us. So he did, and it's now called the Get Her Done Crawl, after Larry the Cable Guy. He was down there all day. He was a great sport about it, and they even brought lunch in so he wouldn't have to come out. And there was one really, really funny time. You may have seen it if you've seen the show, but one of the people from his show hid up in a hole in the ceiling, and they were going to get Larry under the hole and then pull his cap off. And he didn't have a clue what was going on. So they hid up there for about 20 minutes till we finally got Larry over to the area where he was, and he was standing right under the hole, and the guy reached down and pulled his cap off, and Larry almost had a heart attack. It scared him so bad. It was so funny. He was so mad. He said, "You're fired." So it was so funny. But they're a great group to work with.
Do they call him Larry or Dan?
They call him Dan.
Yeah.
So that when he first came into the cave and they referred to him as Dan, I said, "Who's Dan?" And the man that was with him said, "Oh, his name's Dan Whitley." So that was really interesting. I didn't know that, but
so he didn't spend the night, but he did crawl through all those tight places.
He did all of the crawls. Yes,
he did all of them.
No, he didn't do all of them. He did. They had about 3 picked out for him that day.
He didn't do the meat grinder, did he?
He did not do the meat grinder, but he did one that we call the plank crawl. You have to go across a plank and up this little hill to get out of it, and you have to crawl over a large rock. So that was one that he really had a challenge with, and he was very tired when he came out, and was almost to the point where he said no more for the day, but he did. He went on and did a couple more, and then he did our boat ride. And he's a great guy. He is so funny, and just like you see him on TV, rude and crude, he is what he is. Mm-hmm. And he's a family. He has 2 small children, and he showed us pictures of his children and his wife, and so he's just quite an entertainer.
Yeah, is he in character all the time?
He is. I mean,
or is that him?
I think that's him.
Okay,
I think it's him because the minute he comes in, he starts telling jokes, and everything is funny. So we laughed all day long.
I can imagine him having a rod and reel sitting in that glass bottom boat, acting like he was fishing.
We thought about that. Yeah. We actually did think about that.
But you didn't want to stir that up.
No, by the time that we got to the lake, he had already done several crawls, and it was getting really late into the day, and he was getting tired, and he was wanting to get back. And so we didn't do we thought about it. We actually had one on standby, and we were going to, but we didn't. So
that would have been great for him. So now, did he come in a big bus or just in a car, or how did he show up?
He came in an SUV. There was 3 or 4 of them that pulled in, and so we were all there, and everybody wanted their picture made with him. So he had pictures. He was very accommodating, and he's very friendly. And that's one reason they didn't want a lot of people there, because they knew that if people heard that he was coming, a crowd would gather. And so we had most of our staff there, of course, and we were able to get pictures with him. But then by the time we came out of the cave that evening, a lot of people had heard that Larry was going to be there, and a crowd had gathered.
It couldn't take long for that.
Right, exactly.
Well, what people don't realize in a lot of those shows that you see Larry crawling through there and everything, but before he crawled through there, they had to be a cameraman and a soundman crawl through there and be on the other side for him to come through to get the shot.
Yes.
If they stayed where Larry was, all they was going to get a picture of his butt.
Yes, exactly.
So the cameraman could be claustrophobic, and the whole crew could be just like, I would have to say, I'm on vacation today.
Well,
I'm not claustrophobic. I'm just big.
Well, one of the camera guys did have an issue with it, and he had to come out.
Yeah.
He couldn't finish the day. He had to come out. He was very uncomfortable in the crawls. And yes, you're right. They had to go down there and light the areas up, just so that we could see what they were like. And we've never had lights in some of those areas
lights
like
really
that.
Bring some good stuff out, don't you?
Yes. And like I said, we've seen areas with those lights that we had never seen like that before.
Yeah, that's what people don't realize. I guess there's a guy done Dirty Jobs, Mike Rowe.
Yes.
And he'd get in some really tight and dirty. Well, there's had to be cameramen and soundmen go in before him, and so
right.
I admire those people, but that's probably one of the wilder things that probably the Larry the Cable Guy has done. He's done some really silly stuff, and like that. But now, after the show appeared or aired, I guess is the proper term, did you see an influx of calls and people wanting to come?
Yes, you wouldn't believe it. The show actually aired on August the 7th of 2013, almost a year later than when the filming occurred. So we were getting a little concerned that maybe we were not going to get
cut.
We might have gotten cut, yes. So it actually aired August the 7th, and they actually filmed several things in Monroe County to show on that episode. There were 2 or 3 other things. But when the episode was over, our night guard at Lost Sea, and that was about 10 o'clock, he said that the phone started ringing with questions about the Wild Cave tour. So the next morning, you wouldn't believe how many people called to say that they had seen Larry the Cable Guy the night before, and they wanted to know what this Lost Sea and this Wild Cave tour was all about. Our Facebook page went crazy with questions, so it was great.
Yeah, people just don't realize what these stars and those shows can do. Any of those stars, anything shows. Channel 3 shows up tomorrow and does a story about you. You'll see your phone ring.
Yes.
So
yes.
That's good. Maybe after they listen to Whoop today, your phones will ring.
Oh, that'd be great.
At least 3 more people.
Yes.
We got.
That'd be great.
Tell us when you're open again. So where those people tuned in late.
Okay, we are open every day but Christmas Day.
And that includes Saturdays.
Saturdays and Sundays every day. We are open right now from 9 until 6, and that will be through April. Starting in May, 9 until 7, June, 9 until 7, and then in July, 9 until 8 p.m. And then as we get into the winter months, it goes back down from 9 until 5. We are open every day. Tours begin about every 20 minutes throughout the day, and each tour takes about an hour and 20 minutes.
Okay, so now if you, how late will you start a tour?
We usually try to get our last tour started 15 to 20 minutes before closing.
Okay.
So if we close at 6, as we will tonight, then we try to get started around 5:30, 5:45, so that we can have everyone in the cave by 6 p.m.
And so some of your employees are still going to be there 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So you don't come right at 5 o'clock and expect to get a tour, right?
At 6, you mean?
Yeah, at 6.
At 6.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, you may be able to catch up with a tour, even if it has just started. That might be, something you can do.
If you brought 25 people with you, you probably take their money.
Oh, yeah, we'll take them.
Good business people. If there are 25 people here, we need to take their money, right?
Yeah, so we won't turn them away at 6 o'clock.
And then you have a glass blower that's there most of the time?
We do. He actually is there now and working mostly through the week. It varies on the days that he is there until around April. In April, he'll be there full time, April through October. We have just opened our general store, which is a little gift shop, on the weekends, and in the next couple of weeks it will be open full time. Our Cavern Kitchen restaurant is open on the weekends now and will soon open full time. Around Easter, everything will be open. Our gem mining will be available at that time. And our sweet shop is opening in just a few weeks with
16 flavors,
of Bluebell ice cream and some wonderful fudge.
And the hamburger has been endorsed by Bad Actor Doug.
Yes, there you go.
So when Doug endorses a hamburger, you know it's good. It only took one to fill him up.
Only one. They're big. They're
oh my goodness, that's got to be a big hamburger.
They're very big. Yes, they're wonderful.
And barbecue there.
Okay. And like I said, the ice cream and fudge in the sweet shop is awesome.
Oh gosh, that makes me so hungry. We did a show about Couch's Barbecue one time. I about died before the end of this show. So if you're coming up the interstate, take exit 60. If you're coming north, take exit 60. Take right 7 miles on your left.
Yes,
and if you're coming from Knoxville, just
turn
take
left.
60, turn left 7 miles. 411, take the Madisonville. What road is that again?
You'll be coming up 411. You're going to take the Madisonville exit onto Highway 68 towards Sweetwater.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're about 4 miles from Madisonville.
And then out from 27, 58, get on to 68.
Highway 68. Come across like you're coming. You'll be passing the flea market. And then pass over the interstate and about 7 miles on the left.
There's another great attraction up there. After you've been there and you ate your cheeseburger and your Bluebell and you went through the cave and you like cheese, go up to the Sweetwater Cheese Company.
Wonderful.
Right on US 11.
Yes, Highway 11, about 11 miles from Lost Sea.
Oh, they make the cheese there. I say grow the milk. Well, they have the cows. They milk the cows. They make their cheese out of that. And they have multiple flavors.
And you
of
can
cheese.
sample every one of them,
and,
yes.
And I have.
Oh, it is wonderful.
And the pepper jack cheese, I usually come back with a hunk of that.
Yes, my favorite too.
And they have just different things. I've come back with hunks and buy a box of crackers there, and when I get home, I don't have any cheese. So sort of slicing that off through there. So.
And the Fiery Fiesta is also great. And just right down the road from Lossy is also a vineyard called the Solly Notch Vineyard.
I don't know where that is now.
It's just right down from Lossy between us and Madisonville. You'll see there's a big truck parked out front with the sign on it, and that's also something to check out. While you're in the area.
Where's a good place to eat in Madisonville and downtown?
In Madisonville, there's several restaurants that have opened. Donna's Old Town Cafe is right downtown across from the courthouse.
Okay.
A great place, home cooking, wonderful food. And they have a buffet every day, but they have menu items as well. And then right beside Donna's is the Patio, which is Italian. Excellent food. And then Bert's Restaurant is right over on 411, very close to the old, there's the Walmart there and close to the old, where the old Walmart was in Ingalls. Mm-hmm. Great place also, American food.
So you can make a day of, and my wife and I like to go do day trips, Sunday afternoon, go do something that afternoon. Since the documentary done, we can start doing that a little bit more now. But go up, you can go to Lossy, you can go to Mansfield, eat, go to the cheese factory, to the vineyard.
Yes, lots of things.
What a thing to. Hey, good morning, live on Old Town Cleveland.
Yeah, Ron, I heard you just talk about Madisonville. I want to ask your guest, do they still have A&W Root Beer stand there in Madisonville?
Yes. Yes, it's down. It's up on 411. If you're headed to 411 North out of Madisonville, it's on the right.
I remember when I used to go to Maryville High School football games, we used to stop there and get us a root beer. I tell you what, there's a lot of things to do there.
I know,
It's still like an OAW root beer, too, isn't it?
It is. They have the
drive-in and everything?
Yes.
It's not like there for a while, A&W and Long John Silver's combined.
Yeah, no.
This is an A&W place.
Yes.
Okay, Ron, good talking to you.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, finalize the Lossy. Thank you, Lisa Marie Presley McClung, for coming here today and talking about the Lossy and Craighead Caverns and the Speakeasies and the Moonshine Stills and the Fish and Larry the Cable Guy, and you probably got hundreds more stories you haven't told. And the crazy people things asked you and everything. Have you ever lost a kid during the tour?
It's not kids we have to worry about. Sometimes it's the adults. And what happens is they want to stray away from the tour and go into areas that are not lit just to see what they're like. So we have to make sure the tour guides make sure they keep up with all the people on their tours.
If you get in that area that's not lit and get back there fire, you're going to be in the dark.
You are, yes.
I mean, big time dark.
Yes.
How's the cell phone service down there?
Nothing.
No GPS or nothing?
Nothing. It's really funny. People will start down that big tunnel with their phones and they're talking, and right about halfway down the tunnel, they lose their signal. You can see them, start to put their phone in their pocket. It's over.
That's but it's a great place. I've been down there, and like I say, it is not a terrible walk back up, but it is a walk back up, 140.
About 140 feet. You will get your exercise for the day.
That's not a bad walk, back up, but it is on an incline. Going down's no problem at all.
Yes.
If you have terrible knees, you don't need to be walking in this type of stuff either.
Right.
But if you my brother-in-law called in a few minutes. He has 2 new knees. He can go now.
Good.
He don't make noise in Cleveland now. He used to make noise when he walks around. Now he don't make noise. So. But, I think you should go. If not, just go see everything else. We still got another caller. Hey, go ahead, caller.
Hey, this is Country Boy Produce. How are y'all doing today?
Well, I thought we lost you today. Hadn't heard from you.
We're out here on Georgetown Road right across from the Kangaroo.
Well, what have you got today?
We've got tomatoes, strawberries, peaches, and green corn. We've got cases of oranges for $10. We've got strawberry flats for $10. We've got quart cups, $3 a cup.
Wow.
5. Tomatoes, $3 or 2 for $5. Mix or match. We've got squash, cucumbers, oranges, grapefruit, sweet potatoes. Come on down and check it out.
Now he has maters.
Maters.
Maters and sweet taters.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Come on down and check it out. Fill up your shopping cart. If we had some, you could fill it up, but we don't have it.
Will you carry it to the car for him?
That's right. Hey, we'll take anything today. We're under the red, white, and blue flags. You can't miss it.
That's on Georgetown across from the Kangaroo, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, everybody get out there.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, Lisa, what we tell everybody every week is that that history's not history until you write it down, and that we'll always remember about Pearl Harbor, but we may not remember about your Aunt Pearl. So get those pictures from out from under the bed and out of the shoe boxes and the drawers, and get your grandmothers and your aunts and uncles and mothers to write on a little label and put who's in those pictures and what the picture's about. And get your cameras out, your cell phones out, and record your mother and your grandfather talking. And 20 years from now, when they're gone and you can hear their voice again, it'll be great. It's amazing what other people think is history. Your dad running some little store, driving some car, plowing a field might be something that brings back memories to you. So we encourage you to do that every week. Like I say, it's not history until you write it down. This has been Old Town Cleveland, folks. And next week, we got Daryl Patterson going to be here. And after that, we got Mr. Nicely. And I can't remember all the other things doing because we got that. And on April 17th at the Museum Center will be our documentary about dirt track racing called It's a Dirt Track Life. Go look at the video on YouTube. It's a Dirt Track Life. We'll see you again here next week on Old Town Cleveland.
You are listening to WOOP-LP, Cleveland, Tennessee. WOOP FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
You need money overnight? Check it.